Hello, my dear friends in YouTube land. Just to let you know, this is a very special interview with astrofashionista Tamerri. Please forgive the fact that my Zoom settings were not correct and I won't appear much in this video. Unfortunately, I've had to purchase a new computer and therefore all my old programs have needed readjusting and retweaking, and this time around the settings were not correct. But enjoy the video and the discussion nonetheless. Tamerri is an amazing presenter. You're going to love this video. Hello everybody. Happy Christmas, happy Saturnalia, happy solstice. And whatever you happen to be celebrating at this time, it is so lovely that you've joined us for this very special video between Christmas and New Year, where we're going to be looking at one of the most important conjunctions that's happening in 2026. You're going to love this video. And here to talk with me is the amazing astrofashionista Tamerri. Tamerri, it is so lovely to have you at Guiding Star Astrology.
I'm so happy to be here and talk. I love Kesenya, and thank you for inviting me. We met at a retreat in Bulgaria like years ago, and we've just stayed in touch. And it's just so nice to be able to collaborate and be friends and astrologers together. I love it.
That is so true. It was just so lovely to meet. It was 2019 and at the amazing Astrolata conference that she ran at that time. And then we had the fabulous opportunity to catch up again in Melbourne when you were studying down there. So that was really, really fun. But what I love about our connection and what I see unfolding in the astrological community quite extensively is how women are helping women and supporting each other to rise. You know, I'm very passionate about that. My mother was a great example of that sort of thing in the community that I grew up in. And that's what it's really all about. And so it's such a privilege to have you here with me, Tamerri, to do exactly that, to share your work. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Astrofashionista and Gift of the Nile as well?
Yes, yes. So I'm an astrologer. I've been reading charts for 20 years now. And I have a business called Astro Fashionista, where I really help primarily women, but everyone discover themselves and grow and be their best self through their charts. So most people only care about career and love, right? So that becomes the topic I talk about the most, especially love. I also work in the beauty industry. I'm an executive in product development. So that's where the Astro Fashionista comes in. So I'm a Venus girl. I'm a Taurus sun. I have Venus in Aries, Leo midheaven. So I'm all about, bringing the fun, but the depth with all my Scorpio planets to astrology. So it's been really fun. It's been a part of my life, my whole life. And Gift of the Nile is my wellness brand. My name, Tamerri, means gift of the Nile, or gift from God's land. It's an ancient name for Egypt. And it's such an important part of my life, the Egyptian Kemetic history. And so I wanted to tie those two worlds for myself. So, I study a lot about the origins of astrology in Egypt, or Kemet, or Tamerri, and I like to incorporate that. So I launched a brand called Gift of the Now, and it's for spiritual wellness. So healing. So think, aromatherapy, sprays, candles, anything that's very potion-like, that's going to help you feel better. And it's very luxurious. So yeah, that's thegiftofthenile.com and then astrofashionista.com if you want to learn more about me.
Spectacular. You know what I'm thinking as you're talking about that, Tamerri, how much I would love to do an astrological tour, or together, maybe we could do a collaboration sometime of Egypt and go to
Yes.
those amazing
Yes.
places that have a, such important astrological significance. So maybe that's
No,
something we can put out to the universe and perhaps work on in the year or two ahead.
I love that. Yes.
You've been there many
So
times, haven't you?
yes, and my dad is a African history scholar. My godfather, they're both studied under an Egyptologist, Dr. Ben. So I grew up going and learning about Egypt. And my brother's named Taharka after the king, great King Taharka. His kids are like Ramesses and Amosi, all kings. So we all have like Kemetic names, and it's just been nice to kind of incorporate like my passion with something that has been so close to my heart. So yeah, tours are definitely on the horizon. So it's a big trip. But that's something we definitely need to talk about and
I think
connect
we
on.
will. It sounds wonderful. That sounds wonderful. So we are actually talking today about a really important conjunction in the astrological skies, Saturn Neptune conjunction, and everybody's talking about this. This is the hot topic for 2026. What's been interesting to me, Tamerri, and maybe I'll pose this question to begin with, is that, you know, at the beginning of 2025, everybody was saying it's going to be such a big year, there's going to be so much change because all these planets are changing signs, and yet everybody has felt, well, not everybody, but there's been a lot of people coming to me, and I myself can relate to this, such stuckness, such, oh, I feel like I'm grinding my gears or wheels are stuck in the mud, and yet it was meant to be a year of such change. So to my mind, that is partly or maybe predominantly because of the Saturn Neptune. And I just love your perhaps opinion on that idea.
Yeah, I think 2025 to me was the catalyst for the change. And before any type of significant change or transformation, which is Pluto, and we had the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, 2020, that's what changed the course of our world. And we know Pluto's in Aquarius now. We are in the human fight of our lives. It's such a drastic change from the before times, when you think about how we were all living and connected, but kind of just a lot of people weren't awake, just moving. And I think now with Pluto in Aquarius and Saturn and Neptune going to be moving into Aries, we are at the precipice of a major generational change for humanity. And it sounds scary, and it is, but when you think about it, every generation has gone through this before in their own way. So it's not, why would we be any different? The world is about metamorphosis and change and growth, and there's cycles in life. There's death and rebirth. These are themes. And so I think we're just in a cycle of what I think is growth, right? Because Aquarius is about freedom, it's people, it's coming together for the collective. And we are all on such polarizing opposite sides of everything. And the worst thing, social media and the digital world has been such a blessing, because you and I would maybe not have connected if I didn't follow Astrolata, and she posts, this is the way magic is made now, which I love.
Yeah.
But the darker side of that is seeing the things that we didn't see before. And so we're in an era where everyone is seeing things that they didn't know existed about people that they love. Like, you think this way, or you do this, or this is your opinion about things, and somebody that you like, and you're like, well, that makes you a bad person. And then it makes you think that we're so much more than taking a stance on one thing, right? Like, humans are complex. And until we find a way to navigate each other's differences, and I do believe in right and wrong. I think there's limits. I think there's certain things, there's boundaries that are definitely being crossed here in the US. I won't make this political, but I think there's limits, and Saturn is limits. So I think that's a good segue to talk about Aries. Saturn is limits, and Aries is new and fire and invigorating and starting fresh. It's the beginning. And so Saturn is about implementing discipline to something that's new and something that's unknown. And that's where the Neptune comes in. And Neptune is helping dissolve all of the past things, all of the things that are not working for humanity. It was in Pisces. There was a spiritual awakening during Neptune and Pisces. A lot of people discovered spirituality. Astrology has cycles in its popularity. It's an ancient science. It's not new, but there's times where it's more popular. Now we're at a peak where people speak astrology speak, and people are like willing to look outside of just black and white. Yeah. And so I think Neptune and Pisces was us having the tools to fight this fight. Because Aries and Mars, Mars energy is about fight. It's about action. It's war. And we have a fight probably coming, but we'll have the spiritual tools, and we'll have the change in the new mindset to get through it. It's just a little bumpy on the way there.
Yeah, that's so true. I think about when we met in 2019, which was just before the world went through this massive shift. And I think back to those times, it feels like a lifetime ago, and yet it's only 7 years ago, really, which isn't that great in the scheme of things, but just how different our mindsets are and our worldviews are. And I mean, everybody was talking at the time Pluto went into Aquarius about all the effects of the new Aquarian age that would bring about. And of course, opinionitis is one of those things. And you've just touched on that. Everybody's got their opinion. It's so obvious, that opinionitis is a thing, but learning to live in not tolerance so much, but just accepting the different perspectives of other people is quite important at this time, and something that seems difficult for everybody to grasp for some
It is.
reason.
And and Gemini, Uranus and Gemini, it's important to talk about the other transits as we talk about this.
Of course.
And so you asked about 2025, and then I feel like I just went on this tangent, but I think to bring it back to what you originally asked, we were in a 9 year, which is endings in the cycle. It's the end of the cycle. It's, we're maturing, we're going to the next step. But Uranus and Gemini, which we had that happen last July, speeds up information. And so we're all getting a lot more information, and it's really, really, really hard on the nervous system to take in all of this at one time. So we're forgetting the groundedness, right? And we're coming out of Taurus, which is all about being grounded. So now we're shaking things up, but then at the same time, we have these two new energies in Aries, which the good thing is that these energies are a sextile. So, Aries and Gemini, these planets are going to support themselves. So even though we have these difficult, or maybe I don't even want to call it difficult, it's shakeups, right? It's new ways of being. We're adjusting to a new way of living. We have support from, the Saturn Neptune conjunction and that fire Aries energy to the Gemini air energy, information, sharing new information. And then we're going to bring in the Pluto and Aquarius, another air energy, which is about, getting on the same page. So at least I think we're moving in this right direction.
Yeah.
But it's going to be it's a slow shift. Also, like Pluto and Aquarius is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a 20-year transit. So there's going to be subcultures within these,
Yeah.
And ultimately, when Pluto moves into Pisces, that's going to be a crazy time.
I'm
People
looking
probably,
forward to that, actually. I'm bring that on. I want to
like,
know what it feels like to have Pluto in the first house. Yes.
oh yes, yes, I know. Oh my God, yes. Um,
But
so
the Saturn, to me, we're in this phase now of Saturn applying to Neptune. And for those who aren't aware, they're going to make their exact connection in Aries. I think is it 0 degrees or 1 degree?
it's at 0 degrees. And I
Zero
can share.
degrees, which is an
Mhm.
amazing degree. Like this is such a cardinal point. Thank you for sharing the chart. There it is there. So this is at the cardinal degree, which according to Nicholas Dejanovic, who Tamerri and I had the great pleasure to meet in 2019 at the Astrolata conference. But rest his soul. But his 0 degree theory that there is of any of the cardinal points. So Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, 0 degrees is all about brand new beginnings, not just because it's cardinal in this case, but also because it's Aries, the first sign of the general zodiac. And so big life shifts that are happening. So to my mind, Tamerri, and perhaps you can expand on this idea, as we move towards this conjunction, the tension and the energy of stuckness perhaps is there, but it's all going to release on the 20th of February when these come together, and suddenly they'll start to the energy will be at its peak, but then they'll start to separate, which will be a great day after all this build up.
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to speak to that before we talk about the specifics of what we might be feeling.
No, I love that. Also, that's a really good way to look at it, because we also have on the day of the conjunction, it's crazy because it's like the battle between the water and the fire, right? Because we're gonna have, the sun, the North Node, the Venus, Mercury in Pisces, right? And then we have Saturn, Neptune, the moon, and Chiron in Aries on the same day. And I really think this is like our wounds being exposed, being forced to look at things like Saturn is reality, like where things need to be, looked at and saying, you know what, this needs to change. I need to make a change. It's almost like the light bulb goes off. I think that is a positive manifestation of this energy. I do think there is the rise, or the risk of the rise, of people that are selling false dreams and false prophets. So I do want to warn about that. With Saturn rules authority, Aries can be authority, and Saturn is actually in its fall in Aries because it's exalted in Libra. And so I had a download before we hopped on that Libra people are going to be really instrumental in helping us navigate, or any type, if you have Libra planets, or strong Libra in your chart, it's almost like you're there to like help be a peacemaker, I think, because Saturn has its exaltation in your sign. So it's in this opposite point, like you're going to be pulling like, no, this is how we should do it. I think people, that'll be interesting to watch as well. But ultimately, we're having the tools to actually make the changes of the things that we either have been holding us back, or dreams that we've been trying to achieve. And I also believe, because now Saturn's at the beginning, right? It's going through all the signs. Saturn has a 30-year cycle, so it's going through all the signs. So I think people that have worked hard on a particular goal, or something that you've been really taking your time to manifest or to cultivate, I think you're going to see the fruits of your labor during this time as well, and a manifestation of your dreams. That could be a literal way to look at this conjunction as well.
It's really quite fascinating because Neptune was discovered about 165 years ago when he was in Aries. No, he was in Pisces in 1847 to 1862. I've got it written here in front of me. And then he moved into Aries in 1861 to 1875. So we're kind of beginning this new cycle of the second cycle of the awareness of Neptune too. And of course, as above, so below, this awareness of this planet creates a rise in consciousness to embrace what this planet represents. So that's, it's very powerful. We're settling into, if you like, Neptune energy. We're making peace with it. We're understanding it. We've done a whole cycle of Neptune since it was discovered. So there's a lot of knowledge now about Neptune that was lacking before, because we hadn't seen the complete full cycle and been able to analyze it as astrological researchers. So it's an important time in Aries. In fact, the last time, just doing my history here, the last time they were both in Aries, Saturn and Neptune, was 1703. I don't actually have a list of things that occurred in 1703, but that's quite some time ago. So Neptune does a 165-year cycle around the zodiac, but the fact that they were together so long ago is, this is quite a rare experience to have them both together in Aries again. First time since 1703. So quite powerful. But going to be very interesting to see what it brings about, for sure.
Yeah, that's it. And the last time we had the conjunction was back in the 89. So they had a lot profound global changes. It was the end of the Cold War. Breakdown of old structures is another way to look at it, because Saturn is structure and Neptune dissolves structure. So, but out with the old comes new.
That's it. We want to set up a good foundation, Saturn, for the new that's coming in. Well, what's interesting in a lot of the research I've done about this conjunction is that it's always a time when our faith in leadership is at a very low point, and leadership itself is very weak. And certainly I can't speak for America, but I can for Australia. And that just sums the situation up entirely. We've got the most pathetic prime minister we've ever seen. He's so bad. And everybody is just jack of this guy, but how the hell did he get in? Anyway, enough of my little soapbox about that. But it's interesting, like you're saying, we have to be shown, okay, these are the weak spots, these are the flaws, before the rebuilding can come in. So that's certainly something that Saturn Neptune wants to do, is rebuild these Saturn hierarchical structures, perhaps with more idealism. Neptune is to have an ideal and a vision and a dream.
Yes. And I think also with the Uranus and Gemini, that will help bring a lot of innovation that we need, like the positive sides, like advancements. The world's moving forward, no matter if we like it or not. So we have to adjust and flow. And I think the fact that we have this fire air energy now is supportive. And then Jupiter moves into Leo. And so that, like, July is the hot month of the year.
Yes.
When I've been looking at the astrology, it's going to be such a significant period for us. And I do feel overall, and this is not to say difficult things won't happen. The fact is they've always been happening. We just now have more visibility into it, and then and that feeds on other people wanting the attention. And so we have this, constant state of crisis. Like that's the state we're living in. So that it's not that these things don't happen, but I think we'll feel more upbeat and ready and ready to like go to bat for the things we care about. Like we'll have the energy to do something about it. Whereas I think a lot of the energy is people are just drained,
Yes,
Um,
yes.
and there's been a lot of endings. And we can go through the signs. That's probably
Yeah,
a
we
good
will. We'll do that.
segue to go
But
through all of it.
I want to mention, and this is what I think a lot of people have been feeling, certainly in the readings I've been doing for people, is that there's so much instability in the lead up to this conjunction, socially and economically, not just politically, not just with leadership and structures like that, hierarchies and things, but also the social side of things, the economic side of things are very unstable and subject to even a bit of devaluation can occur in financial astrology. So there's a lot of hesitation to sort of take a risk or step out of the comfort zone at the moment, it feels to me, which I think in 2026 is going to change, as the cycle begins to pull apart. I think that will start to not necessarily move forward, but people will be a little bit more perhaps confident in bringing in new change. Whereas now they're like, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Just biting our fingernails, biding our time to see what's going to occur. So that can trigger a bit of anxiety and depression, of course. But the one thing that strikes me as important about this conjunction, one of the most important ways to handle it is to remain ethical. Saturn in Aries can bring about success, can bring about victory. So don't think because it's debilitated that it's all disaster, but it requires something of us. And to my mind, it is ethical. It is like what is right, what is the dotting the I's, crossing the T's, playing by the book is Saturn. So that's really what we're being asked to do. Yes, we might be tempted to try new things, but it's got to be done ethically, or else there's karmic repercussions. Saturn is karma, will not be nice. And if we do, we can actually have victory. Dream big and work hard, I think, is the ethos here with Saturn Neptune. Saturn is work and hard work, and Neptune is the dream, the vision, the goal.
I love that. No, that sums everything up. And I think yeah. Do you want to talk about the signs now?
Let's go to the signs. Yeah. All right. So we're going to use my little astro wheel, which I love that you have this. That's so just gorgeous.
Yes.
I'm going to go with all signs.
OG. I feel like if you have this, like, you're like, it's like if you know, the Kesenya astrology. You know what I mean? Like if you know, you're really been in this astrology game, watching all the videos. Like it's so good. I love it.
I love it too. And I was just saying to you before we switched on the go for the video, I grew up and had dyslexia when I was growing up, and I'm actually quite visual, and if I can see something illustrated for myself, then I can get it. It makes sense. And in Gemini astrology, they often, will twist things around to like, okay, so we're going to look at what the outcome of the fifth house is going to be. So we'll make fit the fifth house the first house, and then analyze the chart from there. So it really helps me to get my dyslexic head around all that makeup of things, the structure of things.
I love that origin story. Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's hit it. Okay, we're going to go with Aries first.
Yes, we're going to go with Aries. Okay, so Aries, this conjunction is happening in your first house, and this is for Aries rising people, Aries moon. You can listen, especially for the rising. This is a new fresh start to everything that you've ever known. Like whatever you felt about yourself before, all of that is changing. Like the way you look at life is going to change. The things you care about, that where you feel like you're running out of time, those things are going to change. Like I think you'll see the importance of really committing and seeing something through. You're being forced to be more ethical, like Kesenya mentioned, to be more structured, to be more methodical, to be to have good leadership. But at the same time, you're having to unlearn the things that make you you. So, your fire is being tested a little bit. And so this is a whole new cycle for you, like a rebirth, not in a deathful way, right? Like not in a way that feels like you're like, oh my God, I can't handle it. More in a way like, okay, I'm being asked a lot of me, right? It's time for me to rise to the occasion. So I think they'll feel, inspired. I have had a lot of Aries clients this year coming, like, what is going on? Like they just feel,
They're sensing in, they know it's a big year of change ahead for them. I
yeah.
have too.
One is a married couple and they're both Aries. It's like so much was going on. I was like, yeah. So yeah, I don't know if you have anything to
Yeah,
add
well,
for.
I think I would just add that, one of the keys here is to be ethical and principled regarding your bodily health, your and how you treat yourself. Sometimes Neptune in the first house, having just gone through 14 years of Neptune in Pisces, can see us martyring ourselves. Like Neptune's dark energy, if you like, is to be the martyr, to be sort of the unwilling victim, if you like, to self-sacrifice, and lose ourselves. So with Neptune embarking on 14 years in Aries and requiring, while Saturn is there, this ethical, moral stance, we need to take that approach to, well, what is ethically right for me? What is morally right for me? And try to keep in mind Aries. Aries is very the self. It's all about the self, but it's about being that in a way that is not like selfish. It's just self-honoring, which is different to being selfish. So, you might be called, Aries, to step up and make a sacrifice, but keep the balance would be my encouragement. Keep the balance between what is good for you and what is good for others, and try and create win-win situations as ethically and morally as possible.
Yes, I totally agree. I actually should move the other planets into where they'll be.
Yeah.
People now. So we have this is in Pisces. So Venus will be in Pisces. Where's my little Mercury? Will be in
That
Pisces.
sun takes up so much room, doesn't it?
It does. Oh, that's Mars, not Venus. Okay, and then Mars will be in Aquarius. Yes. Oh wait, no, that's the North Node. And we haven't even gotten to that, but the North Nodes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's a big year, guys.
We should have perhaps do another video down the track about the changing of the nodes, because that's a huge biggie actually. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's do Taurus.
All right, Taurus sun, moon rising. So this is an interesting place for this energy to be happening for you. This is a subconscious level, the subconscious area of your life. The things that you don't see in your waking life, your dreams, your intuition, your spirituality. This is an area where all these things are being both strengthened and challenged. I think because the 12th house rules dreams and it's that state before we awaken. I think there's going to be a lot of Taurus energy, people that have Taurus energy, where they're getting downloads about what's not right in their life. And they're having to kind of face that, and it's becoming clear. And then the Saturn is going to help, work through some of those things. And these can be like the 12th house is energy, like your fears, the things that still keep you up at night are connected to your childhood, those deep wounds. That can be an area. So you might have to face some of that and then start to work on it and start to make a plan for getting better. So it's not necessarily something, because Tauruses have been going through a lot. Uranus has been in Taurus, kind of showing you, I can speak as a Taurus sun. Sometimes when you're in the fixed earth energy, you have plans that you just You have this plan and it's going to go this way. And anytime it doesn't happen that way, you're like, how did it not go that way? And it's, that is what makes it worth it in the end, is the challenges. And so I think Taurus has been going through a lot of challenges, a lot of changes. They had the North and the South node in their sign
Mm.
not too long ago. And so now it's about really tackling those deep-rooted things that have been holding them back. But I think it's also, I don't think it's going to be in a scary way. I think when Uranus moves out of Taurus, I think there'll be a sigh of relief to where they can start to rebuild. It's been hard for Tauruses to find their footing on something solid right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I feel like Neptune is the planet of our dreams and our visualizations and our fantasies. It's the vision board planet. Um, and Saturn crystallizes and brings things into Earth's reality. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of Taurus people seeing their dreams become reality at this time, potentially. But look, it may take the duration of Saturn in Aries before the manifestation occurs. So I would just say to Taurus people, don't give up on your dreaming and your goal setting and your visualization, even if it feels like nothing's manifesting. When Saturn leaves Aries in 2.5 to 3 years' time, you'll probably notice that there is solidification of what you're striving for and dreaming of.
Yeah. And you said something that really made me think about other man. Oh, it'll come back to me.
The
But it was something,
crystallization of the Earth reality.
yeah, seeing it, it'll come back to me when we're talking about another sign.
Yeah.
Of course, I think I had to say, yeah. But I
That
think
always happens. Yeah. All right. So Gemini.
Gemini. All right. So Geminis are literally going to be one of the busiest people. If you have Gemini rising, like this is a period of extreme change and activity for you. It's electric though. I think you'll be ready for this energy because you just had, Uranus going through your 12th house, shaking up the way, bringing fears to the surface. Um, Looking a new way of seeing things. And so now you're going to be acting on a lot, like I think you're going to be trying out different things to see what you want moving forward. And you are a sign that's very curious, and a lot of Gemini people, even if they have like Mercury and Taurus and they're all about routine, they still like variety. So the key word is variety. So this is a time where there's going to be extreme variety in your life, variables that will affect a lot of different areas. It's going to affect your relationships because the Uranus is opposite the seventh. It's going to affect your home life because it's squaring the fourth. Some of you might move, there might be shakeups in that way in your career. And it's kind of all tied together. So, I think it's one of those things where when one thing happens in your life, all the other areas are going to be affected, and it's going to be new and exciting. And I think you're the sign that can enjoy this the most. Out of all the other signs, you can handle a Uranus transit probably better than most.
Totally, they can. They're going to love it.
I'm like,
But
yeah, bring on the variety.
that's right. That's right. But I love the conjunction in the 11th house. I love the 11th house. It's one of the best houses in the horoscope, if you ask me. But my take on that would be with the conjunction in the 11th house to, like there'll be restructuring of friendships, and maybe some of the illusions you've had about the friendships and social groups you've been in might all fall away now and need to be rebuilt. But keep your interactions with your friendship circles and your networks and your groups as ethical as possible. The way you treat one another, the way you're treating the world out there. It's very important, I think, for Gemini people to remain above board and not do the dodgy for the duration of the effect of this conjunction. How long would you say the effects of this conjunction will be felt, for the duration of Saturn there, or Neptune there, or the next 30 years?
I would say definitely this. I don't think it's going to be felt the entire 30 years. I think what happens, the catalyst will influence like that will be the overarching theme. So watch the themes that come up in your life right now, because that will is going to be where your focus goes. That's going to be where you are both having to let things go and then rebuild. So whatever area that life is, and that's the area we're talking about for the conjunction. So for Gemini, it is your friendships, it is your hopes and dreams, it's your wishes, it's the money that you make from your career. So those are all going to be affected by this life. I think a lot of your friendships, you're going to have higher standards when it comes to your friends, or on the flip side, people are going to demand more of you, and you're going to have to decide, is this worth my time, and so I think that's where the Neptune comes to kind of loosen the glue on some of these, friendships maybe that you've had for a while. And same with your dreams, like, what you think is going to make you happy, because the 11th is your hopes and wishes.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So there could be some real dissolving of your hopes and dreams in order to rebuild something new, or not rebuild, because that sounds like you're going back over old territory. That can be the case with Saturn, but often it's something completely structurally new that you'll be creating in terms of goals and hopes and aspirations. What an exciting time for Gemini. They are really.
Yeah, they're going to be the busiest. Like, I vote them most busy.
Mhm.
All right, Cancer Sun, Moon, Rising. So the conjunction itself, this is in the most important part, and one of the most important points in your chart, your 10th house. And the 10th house is your status. It's your career. It's how you are seen in the world, for good or bad. And for Cancer, a lot of Cancer, you're ruled by the moon. Cancer rising people, Cancer suns, they're not always the most outwardly ambitious. They have a quiet ambitious ambition about them. And I think that's that 10th house. It's like that Mars energy, but Mars is in its, not strong in Cancer. So everything is under the surface. It's like they're having to move kind of slow towards their goals. And I think this is a time where you are going to have a lot of responsibility. That Saturn energy in your 10th house, and the Neptune is going to be, knowing that to get to your dreams, you have to implement certain structures, discipline, and kind of rise to the occasion for those dreams to come to fruition. But I think you're going to have the stamina to do it. And Jupiter's in your sign right now.
Lucky
So
Cancer.
you're so lucky, right? So Jupiter is like helping you, like, look, it's pushing you, like you can do more, you can be bigger. And it doesn't have to be a scary thing. Just go slow, step by step. Saturn likes step by step, and slowly go after your dreams. But you have the abundance, and then Jupiter's going to go into your second. So you can start to see, some financial gain. So it's an exciting time for Cancer people.
Yeah, 2026 is going to be, yeah, really good, I think, for a lot of Cancer people. And in fact, I believe, just checking my notes here, yeah, between February and June, they are going to have both Saturn and Jupiter aspecting their seventh house. So it could actually be a significant time for relationships and contractual, making official a relationship, or a business partnership and that sort of thing would be very prominent. So there's two signs, Cancer is one of them, that might have a lot of love going down in 2026 from that
Yeah.
activation. And that's using Vedic aspects of Saturn and Jupiter. I'll just add for people who are saying, hang on a minute, that makes no sense.
I love when you do that. It just adds like such another layer of information. It's so great.
Yeah, yeah. I also think, Neptune is gossip in the 10th house. Neptune is the rumors, and this is the house of reputation. So, Cancer people, keep your morality and ethics right up there, right at the top of the tree, because there is the potential that, people could talk about you for better or worse. They might be talking about you for all the right reasons. But if you're keeping your morality, especially what you're putting out to the world, pure, then, you're not going to be talked about for the wrong reasons. Saturn and Neptune conjunction in the 10th house of reputation.
That's a great point.
Mm. Good
Um,
luck, Cancer. You're in for a good year.
I'm excited for you. Leos, there's a lot to be excited for. I feel like with Leo, they've had some like muted years or tough years where they're having, they had this fixed energy. Yeah, like kind of really affecting like the Uranus and Taurus. energy, even when the eclipses were in Taurus and Scorpio, they're just always getting hit by these, fixed signs. Now Pluto's in Aquarius, the opposite sign. So they need this Jupiter, this Jupiter and this conjunction happening. So for Leo, two really active houses, your first and your ninth, are being activated. So the Jupiter is going to go into your sign late June and give you, the luck, the abundance, like the spark, like you're feeling big, you're feeling like yourself again. You're waking up and you're ready to take in, more abundance and more knowledge, like you're open. And so this Saturn Pluto conjunction happening in the ninth house is the perfect catalyst. I mean, not Pluto, Neptune is the perfect catalyst to kind of feed that knowledge and give you this new perspective. I think you're really building a new perspective for yourself. You're building a new vision. You're building how you view the world. Your network literally might change to people that are global, having more global interactions. And so I think it's almost like your Renaissance, like how Beyonce had the Renaissance concert. It's like it's the Leo Renaissance. And then we're going to have the South Node go into your sign and the North Node go into Aquarius. We're going to start having eclipses in those signs. The first we're seeing in July, that move. And it's going to require you to let go of your old ways so that you can really soak in all this good that's coming to you.
I think you're so right there. I love that idea as a Leo myself. Bring it on. But also, the Saturn Neptune conjunction in the ninth house of it's our dharma, it's our purpose and meaning, and it trines by forward trine the first house of you, Leo. So it is a really important period for you to redefine your mission and your purpose in life. Why are you here? What do you want to achieve? What is the goal for the future for your life? And Saturn Neptune's going to potentially, I think, help you visualize Neptune and dream of something new, and Saturn will put the structures in place to make it happen. This is in Vedic astrology, again, one of the blessed houses of the horoscope because it trines the ascendant. So a real opportunity to redirect your mission and your purpose in something that feels more in alignment with who you really are, Leo, and living
Yeah.
your truth. I'm excited. I think, yay.
It's invigorating. It's like the energy that's more compatible, like the fire energy, the air energy. Yeah, it's good. Okay, Virgo. Virgo. So Virgo rising, Virgo moon. Okay, so this Saturn Neptune conjunction is happening. Um, it's in the eighth house. And so the eighth house, now this, similar to the 12th, is an energy that is all about depth. It's about, what you value on a high level. It's about your resources shared with a partner, the resources that are available to you, loans, credit card debts, large sums of money, but also non-financial. It's sex and sexuality, and it's the occult. It's anything that is in life is a little bit taboo that people don't want to talk about outwardly. That falls under this house. And so with this Saturn energy there and the Neptune energy, I think you are kind of, this is a way you should definitely be ethical when it comes to finances during this time. I would not advise on taking big risks, gambles. If you're taking out loans, which some of you might, Saturn there, it might be, maybe it's an investment, something that you're looking at long term, but just make sure to read all the fine print. Neptune can be where you have, rose-colored glasses or a veil over your eyes and you're a bit cloudy. So anything that's serious, you need to just make sure you're doing your due diligence. But I think on a, almost like metaphysical level, this is going to be a deep interchange for you. Virgos like to be in control, even though it's a mutable sign. They like order and they like structure. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a loosening, and I think more on the sexual side also, to throw that in there. A little more, spicy, or, just breaking down old beliefs about what sexuality is. So that could
Maybe
be
maybe more fantasy in the bedroom might be on the
like
card.
that fantasy for sure. More fun. Yeah. If you're into that type of thing.
That sounds great. Yeah. I agree with you about the morality and principled nature of dealing with your taxes or dealing with your loan repayments and anything like that where you're receiving money from others or you owe money to others through taxes or whatever. You keep it principled, lest karma come back to haunt you with this conjunction for sure.
And Virgo is the sign that can do that, to
Yeah.
literally the receipts and like be detailed, take all the notes, like you have it in you. So just that astrology is about bringing awareness, right? It's possibilities. It doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen. It just means it's more likely.
Yep.
So you should, if you know the information, if you know better, hopefully you can do better.
That's right. That's right. I see on my videos, a lot of people will say, "Oh, now I feel really depressed having listened to this dire warning." But it's guidance. It's like, okay, if you know something's going to happen, you can prepare for it. It's not saying there's disaster around every corner.
Yeah,
It's being able to work, like knowing about the energies, so you can work with the energies and come out on top. Yeah.
exactly. I'll explain how I'm doing that when we get to the Scorpio. We'll go
Uh-huh.
to Libra. Okay, so Libra, this is an important, very important part of your chart. It's an angular house. That angular houses, the first, 10th, 7th, and 4th, are almost your most important foundational houses. And so anytime there's a major change or a major occurrence in those houses, you're going to be affected in one of those or all those areas of your life. And so this conjunction between Neptune and Saturn is happening in your seventh house of relationships and partnerships. And so what do Libras, or what is the Libras value a lot is relationships and partnerships. This is your area. And so I think it's going to be twofold. I think for the Libra people where relationships are not, you've been in a relationship and it's not really working, it's not the best for you, but you've kind of been like just riding the wave. I think you'll no longer to be able to like just see the rose-colored glasses about the situation. You're going to face reality and make a decision for better, maybe for probably for the better, but it might be difficult, Saturn. But I think on the flip side, if you're in a relationship where it's been a long time, you've put in, good work with your partner, and you're kind of waiting for the next step, this will help you go to the next step. Because I've seen people where, a few of my clients have looked, oh, you got married during Saturn transiting your seventh, taking that commitment in like, leap of faith. So I think there's going to be two sides of the coin, very Libra, no pun intended, when it comes to how this energy might play out for them.
Yeah. There's a couple of other things I would add in that not every astrology house is all about us. It can be, but in this case, it can also be about our partner, our business partner, our husband, our wife. So they personally might be going through a big restructuring as well. And of course, that affects us if we're their partner, in whatever way or shape or form we are their partner. But restructuring, I'm seeing definitely happen with my husband's life. And, we're heading into this energy. He's totally preparing in February to start his life over afresh, turn over a new leaf, exactly
Mhm.
around the time of this conjunction. So it may be that's where you're observing this happening. And I will just add, for Librans who are single, this is the other sign, Libra is the other sign, where there are two Vedic aspects being formed to the seventh house of commitment by the big outer planets that really bring about, in Vedic astrology, the life change. So Vedic astrology doesn't tend to use the celestial planets very often, the Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. They view them as more, governing big movements and social movements in the world at large. Jupiter and Saturn are considered to bring some of the biggest changes into a person's life in Vedic astrology. And Leo, when Jupiter goes into Leo, it will aspect by a trine the seventh house, while Saturn is also there too. So that's very auspicious for potentially meeting someone if you're single, my Libra friends out there who are looking for that.
Yes, yes. No, that sounds good. Yes. I love that. Well, good luck, Libra. And you have Jupiter in your 10th
11.
house right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I think now before June, you could see a big payoff in that area of your life too.
Bring
Exciting.
it.
And they're ready for it. Yeah.
Bring
Right. Scorpio rising Scorpio. Okay. So this conjunction, been preparing for this for a while. It is happening in your sixth house of, daily routine and health and work, your coworkers, what you have duty to or service, what you service in your life, your pets. And this is an area where you are being called to really get serious about routine, get serious about your health, make sure that you're do your due diligence about taking care of yourself like you would anything else. Like this should be your highest priority because if you don't have your health, what do you have? And so I think, Neptune is going to be there to help you. I think this is a very helpful area for Neptune where it can dissolve those old patterns and habits, and that could be the Saturn energy too. Things that you're just so used to doing, like you're finally waking up and saying, no, I can't do this anymore. I need to do this XYZ. So this is one manifestation. It also can mean a change coming to your workplace, some sort of, routine change, or maybe a new leader comes in, or maybe you take on more responsibility. But I think you have creative solutions and how to kind of navigate any changes that come. So that's exciting. I'm Scorpio rising. I have a Scorpio ascendant. And I've had so many doctor's appointments. Like, I'm not playing around. I'm like, whatever, scan me for what? Go put that there, do my blood work. Like, I'm a doctor girly right now. And like, I'm like, no, it's like to me, and it's a luxury, I feel like, to have like health insurance in, the United States, which is so sad. So I take advantage of it. And I'm like, I'm going to be my optimal self. I'm not perfect, no, but I feel like if I do it, consistency, Saturn is about consistency. So
it.
I'm batting for 75, 80%, 85% at every area of like if I can give that much or even a little less in every area of my life, I feel like I'm excelling.
Yes.
But it's also about knowing your limits and when you're going to burn out on the flip side. So rest is important as well. So you have this, desire to rest, but I know it's going to be a very heavy active period in your life. And Jupiter is going to be going into your 10th, you
Yeah.
know, summer. And so that'll bring on like increased awareness, visibility. So it's good to get a nice schedule right now to prepare for all of that.
Love it, love it. It's quite an interesting energy, isn't it? Because Saturn is the planet of work here in the sign of work, and Neptune's about rest and retreat and taking a chill pill and all that. Having some time out. So it's a really oil and water kind of mix, isn't it, in the sixth house? But finding that equilibrium, that balance, like you've just described so beautifully, is going to really be what it's all about for, I think, Scorpio people, having the appropriate amount of rest and time and being really productive and working when you're required to. So find that seesaw equilibrium for Scorpio people.
Yes, yes. All right, Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, this energy is happening in an exciting, fun part of your chart. The romantic, um, you know, fifth house, which is about creates creative expression and children and fun and play and a little bit of fame. You at your most positive inner child. Let's look at the fifth house as that way. Like, so it's like what brings you joy. And so and Saturn's an interesting place to have this. And I actually just had this transit because it almost like resets how you look at romance and love and dating. And this can be whether you're single or if you're coupled, what do you expect from your partner? Saturn is about, having standards, like maybe you're like, you know what, I deserve this.
Yeah.
And Neptune is kind of letting you see the things that you want, or it's, releasing, exposing some of the things that are happening in your relationship or not happening. And maybe it's about you realizing, oh, okay, maybe I need to change to have more joy in my life, or to in my dating life. I need to make some changes, do something different. It's an interesting place for it to be. And I think it can help you take a hobby very seriously, like be dedicated to something that brings you joy. So it can be a happy time.
My husband's Sagittarius rising, Tamerri, and this is exactly the direction he's taking things. One of his hobbies is about to become his career life. So, Saturn, the planet, the general character of career, in the house of something that's always been a hobby, So, many Sagittarius people might be looking for new, fresh starts in life where they can utilize their hobbies for something a little bit more serious, Saturn energy.
I love that.
I do too. It's exciting time.
Yes. Mhm. And let's see, we talked to, yeah. So let's go to Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn. So Capricorn, you've had, an eventful Capricorns, I feel like were going through a lot, and they were starting to emerge as this new reborn Capricorn. Capricorn once Pluto exited their sign. And now I think this Saturn Neptune happening in their fourth house is going to have them rethinking, um, you know, their structure of their home, familial things like, do you want to start a family? Or if you have a family, maybe increase responsibility around your family, or a responsibility to a parent or your mother figure. At the same time, I think there's being things that are going to be happening on an emotional level. The fourth house is connected with our deep emotions, our ancestry, those kind of wounds that are just deeply woven in our history. And so, I think it's going to be the revealing of past things that have happened, even if they're, traumatic things that have happened in the family, kind of really coming to terms with things that happened before you were here and how they still affect you, because we all carry things from generation to generation. So I think it's more about the exposure of that also. Um, but to help with healing, because Neptune is about healing. So it's not a scary thing. It's something I think you should embrace. It might be uncomfortable for Capricorns because it's not the most emotional sign, Saturn ruled signs. So
That's just
yeah,
it. The first house lord is in the fourth. So it's really about creating new foundations and structures for your emotional life. And to do that, we need to go over the past. Saturn is to look back, to look at the things that have been before. And Neptune, like you've just so beautifully expressed to me, is going to help you heal those things. So I think that's the key thing. Do you think it might be that some Capricorn people will be moving? Like if we make
yeah,
a bit more bricks and mortar, like that people will be moving homes or renovating homes or something?
absolutely. That's definitely possible. And it could be, and I think the thing is, it might be due to some sort of responsibility to something. Like, I don't know if it'll be a move that's like you
Fun,
necessarily
fun. Yeah.
want it to implement, but ultimately, you should embrace it. And I think because it is your ruler in that fourth house, it's going to make the transition or whatever that is easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Right, Aquarius. So um, Aquarius are the sign that are going through, this long-term, deep, transformative, especially if you're an early Aquarius, you have this metamorphosis with this Pluto in your sign. And Saturn and Neptune are moving into your third house, which governs like your mind, your communication style. It's your immediate environment, your neighbors, it's your cousins, a social life, but on a smaller scale. Like think about like your PTA or your neighborhood watch. So yeah, so this area is being restructured. So I feel when I look at the third house, I look at it as like um it's our mental state, right? But there is that still familial connection. Like those two houses, there's a lot of connection between those two because your neighbors and the people you see every day can become an extension of your family. And so I think that area of your life might change. There might be, some duties to things. Like I think very literally, this could be you, joining some sort of organization in your community to help make a change. Or, just there could be some like responsibility that falls on a sibling. That maybe you're having to support them too. I've had a couple clients where I was talking about this placement and their sibling or Jupiter, it's either Jupiter or Saturn, the sibling is literally having a baby. Like that's like something they're like, oh yeah, if I bring that up. So there could be an event as simple, as exciting as that. But ultimately your mind and your thoughts are changing, and Saturn is your traditional ruler. And Aquarians, even though they're open-minded, they have really things that they have fixed beliefs on. And so I think that is changing, right? I think the way they look at things is going to be changing, and their mind is going to be open. And I think they're a sign that has the skills to go with that flow,
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you've said that. I always think when I do an Aquarius rising reading on my YouTube channel, etc., I always think of Lada because she's Aquarius rising, and so I just wonder, there may be this is the house of small business, or your own business that you make money out of your talents and skills and so forth. So we could be seeing maybe with Lada, she might be restructuring something about her channel, or the way she's doing her business in some way over the next couple of years. And the same might apply to many Aquarians who've got their own small business, or they're dealing with buying and selling, or they're using their skills and talents to make their income. There might be some new structures that emerge. There are some new creative ideas that you implement perhaps as well.
Yeah. And I think you'll have a support from a person like Jupiter will be in the seventh, moving into the seventh house.
Yeah.
And so I think they're going to have support of a partner, or, maybe this is increased business for you if you have a one-on-one clientele situation. So it can be a good time.
Yeah, yeah. No, Aquarius will do well. That's great.
Yeah.
Really great.
All right, Pisces. I always feel bad when Pisces waits to the end, but Pisces sign, the only sign that would wait to the end.
We're
Maybe
used to it.
yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, we get it. And so in Pisces, that's a good segue because you've been going through so much with the nodes in your sign. You've had Saturn and Pisces, had this energy in your sign. So no one knows Saturn and Neptune better than Pisces people right now.
I know
And
enough already.
and it's such a foreign energy. I mean, the Neptune isn't right because it's their modern ruler, but for Saturn in Pisces to me is just like dragging the mud. Like it doesn't move things, right? It just kind of feels like sluggish.
Oh,
And so I think a lot of Pisces people have felt the weight of something that they never imagined, Neptune happening. And so now it's moving into the second house of, value and income and finances and how you make money. And so this is an interesting place. This is another area where we want to warn, where financial honesty, being responsible will be rewarded. This is a time where you're planting your seeds financially. The things that dream of, or the seeds that you plant, that Neptune is going to, I think, going to help it grow. Like you're addressing your dreams, and you can have the financial backing, not maybe now, but in the years to come, they're going to help support that dream. Because Saturn is about conservation. And so when, Saturn is there, wants you to, store. This isn't a time to be like, it's not a Jupiter in the second house transit where you're wanting to spend money. You're saving for something. So
yeah.
I think no matter what that is, it means something different to Pisces people, but what are you saving for? What matters to you right now?
So some Pisces people might be required to tighten their belts a bit. But I looking at this transit, I was getting very like, biting my nails because I'm Pisces rising. Don't want this. This is not going to be nice. But it's all in how we think, isn't it? Negativity can bring nightmares if we think negatively. Positivity, we can see our dreams, Neptune coming true, Saturn solidifying in the material reality, which is represented by the second house. So, you know, on their own, Saturn makes us tighten our belts in the second house and financially be very cautious and reserved, perhaps. Neptune on his own in the second house can see money come and go by magic, like, you know, or slip through your fingers, you know, like we can't get a grasp on the material realities of life, but together they could actually be quite complementary in this
Mhm.
sign, I think, for Pisces. But this is what I'm clinging to as a Pisces rising, you know, that together the money that does flow in magically, Neptune energy, might be able to be kept and held, you know, Saturn energy. Or even better, we could see the literal earth manifestation in the earth realm of our Neptune dreams again. You know, we talked about that in the 12th house, but it could be the same kind of thing affecting the second house, because of course Neptune is very correspondent to the 12th house, and Saturn there can bring about the solidification of dreams, and Saturn is very earthbound about material reality, second house stuff, and of course Neptune there can bring big dreams. So that's what I'm clinging to for any Pisces out there that are trying to find something hopeful in this, in this transit.
No, I think that I agree. Um, and just a little addition is that Jupiter will be in the sixth house. And so this is going to, help, I think those your daily routine, like when Jupiter is there, it makes you have the confidence to take on more, right? And so it's almost like your capacity to produce increases. And so I think you're going to, whatever happens financially, it'll probably be that you might be actually literally working more, but you're working towards something, your vision. And so you're able to like feel good about it. So I don't think it'll be a negative thing. I think you're going to feel like abundance, like, okay, you know, because
Love
Jupiter is your traditional ruler. So yeah.
I love it, Tamiri. That is brilliant. I have just like everything you shared here just gets me so excited about this conjunction, actually. And that, you know, it's astrology is nothing to fear. It's about knowing. And when we know the future, oh, it gives so much confidence, you know, because yep, I can navigate this how I'm meant to, how I can get the best out of this. I love it.
Saturn likes to get ahead of things. It likes that you prepared for things.
That's so true.
So just keep that in mind, like prepare.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, that that's Saturn's agenda, but that he was the traditional ruler of astrology before the discovery of Neptune. So, you know,
Yeah.
that's what it's all about, being prepared, you know, forewarned, forearmed, as we say.
Yes.
Tamiri, this
Well,
has been so terrific. You know, I love your insights. I love your energy. It's just so beautiful to connect with you about this topic, particularly. I'd love to do this again sometime. Maybe when the nodes change signs or something, we could have a chat again, because I know everyone's going to just love this video.
yeah, we have to do it again. I agree.
So
So
wonderful.
thank you for having me. Jupiter's in my ninth, so these types of energies feel good to me right now. So yes, I
Yeah,
love it.
perfect. And can I just ask, as a concluding question, as a Taurus sun with Uranus leaving now, what's your takeaway from the last 7 years that Uranus has been moving through it's your seventh house, isn't it?
Yes.
Mm.
Uh, yes, through mine. So if you're Scorpio rising, I think relationships have been a roller coaster. Um, Even if you didn't have okay, so I'll share mine. I got a divorce during this transit. When the nodes were there also. So I was having eclipses in my first and my seventh with Jupiter there. So it was weird because it was something that I shook up. Like I felt this shakeup within me because I'm a Taurus sun. So I had, Uranus on my sun, in my seventh house. So I was like, I realized that this was not an alignment. This wasn't a relationship that I could continue to be on and grow.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that happened. But then I had the faith that something new was going to come in. I just knew it. So I wasn't afraid to make the change or the leap.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I did. So it was like, it doesn't have to be something that dramatic though, right? Like it could just be that, like, your environment changed. I also went back to business school, got my MBA, and I met a whole new realm of people. Uranus and Taurus shaking up my network and my one-on-one relationships. It was like the most exciting, it's been the most exciting time of my life, but also there's been a lot of hard things I've had to navigate too. So, but I also had Saturn transits that were affecting that. So yeah, I do think you just won't be the same person again. Like you're a new person and now you have a new perspective. And so now it's about navigating all the new changes that are coming.
Yeah, brilliant. You know, I find Uranus one of the most fascinating planets in astrology. Even before I knew astrology, in the very conservative circles I moved in, everybody would talk about, oh, yes, life goes in 7-year cycles, they would say. Not equating it to Saturn at Uranus at all, but knowing that we go through like a regeneration of ourselves every 7 years. And it always lines up. It always lines up with the astrology when you hear people talking like that. So I ask that because it's a biggie too, having Uranus move into a new sign, and we need to, I think, all collectively look back at, okay, well, where have we been over the last 7 years? And oh my God, what a change we've all been through. And so, you know, how can we take that knowledge of change and apply it to where we're going next? It's an exciting year ahead. It's an exciting beginning.
Yeah, Uranus and Gemini will give us the knowledge. I
Yeah,
like that.
that is
Yeah.
true. That is true. Well, Tamerri, thank you so much, and happy New Year to you. May I ask how you're celebrating the
Oh, I
advent
don't
of
have plans. I have no plans as of today. I have like not even thought about it. So I don't know. Maybe it's either I'm going to be at home and happy or somewhere fun. Like it's only one or two. I won't go somewhere that I don't think is going to be fun. So it's one of those two things. So we'll
Jesus?
see.
Well, I hope it's a good one, and I'll raise a cocktail to you on New Year's Eve. I hope it goes well, whatever you do.
Hey,
And to everybody out there watching, may you have a glorious New Year's Eve as well, whatever you're doing. And thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of our Astro Weather. Thank you, Tamerri. Do check out Tamerri's work at astrofashionista.com and giftofthenile.com. And yeah, we'll join you all in 2026 again.
thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.